All right, are we live again?
I'll go do a quality check.
I'm trying to scoot over and be in the shade so I'm not staring in the sun. Ow. Talking about pain and I'm saying ow.
Tell me what I need to get your little chair for your foot.
Okay, this is fun, isn't it? Hi, everybody. Second video. We're starting again. I'm on my phone now. We had some technical difficulties with the first attempt at this live Sunday service. And I was sitting outside under the palm trees with you and have tried to move around to find a place where you all could hear me. And hopefully you're all finding your way back on here now. I apologize for the technical difficulty. But basically, as you come on board, what we were just talking about is my choice today to talk with you about pain perception and managing pain in our lives. And I come at this from a few different perspectives. If you watch and if you want, I'm going to leave the other video up, even though it's a bit of a mess. I'm curious to see what the audio was about, but the way I started today's talk before I got technically disrupted is that all we know currently about pain and how to diagnose and how to treat any type of pain, whether we're talking about psychological, emotional discomfort and pain, or we are talking about physical pain, they're all theories. We have some facts, but we do not have all the facts yet. We do not totally understand, and you can look wherever you want, medical schools, Wikipedia, Google it. And I'm actually getting ready to launch part of our yoga health educator and therapist training. Some of the first classes we're going to teach are actually about pain, both from modern medical perspectives and classical perspectives. And I am deciding today to talk about pain amidst a time where we're in the middle of a pandemic and a global shift that is affecting every single person on this planet. And I've put a lot out there already for you to follow and check out. But what I realized yesterday when as I think I showed you, I ruptured my Achilles tendon, full blowout playing tennis, and got to process and experience an injury and deciding whether to go to the hospital or not. And luckily everything's good, you guys. I'm gonna have surgery and I'm fine. But one of the interesting things was my experience with pain. And this is I had pretty much the worst sports injury you can get. The largest tendon in the body snapped, totally detached. And I got to really practice what I preached yesterday, what I wrote my doctoral thesis on, what I treat in other people all the time, and what I'm talking to you guys about today, and what is affecting every one of us in the world right now as we deal with this pandemic, and whether we're dealing with the anxiety and the fear and the psychological and emotional trauma that's happening, or you're actually dealing with previous healthcare issues and having to worry and be concerned on whole new levels while we navigate this specific virus. And I have many people in my life and maybe many of you who are dealing with getting this specific virus right now, and how scary that is. And most everybody I know is getting through it and developing natural immunity and doing well, but it has kicked people's butts. And at the end of the day, we're all navigating a lot of pain experiences. And yesterday, as I was called through a major injury to deeply practice what I teach, I did it, and I I love that the universe gives me these opportunities, because then I can come in here and talk with you about how I managed a major trauma through the hospital, home, slept. I have no inflammation right now. I'm in pretty much no pain unless I step the wrong way or do something silly. I'm of course going to take super good care of myself, but I took no meds, nothing, not even cannabis. And I'm in California so I could legally tell you if I had. Nothing. I took it's not true. I took 30C arnica every half an hour or hour that I picked up at Whole Foods on the way to the emergency room yesterday. And they were totally freaked out. How can I be in no pain? They kept saying, on a scale of 0 to 10, you should be at a 12 right now. And I said, well, I'm maybe at a 2 in a bad moment, or if I tweak it a wrong way, it shoots up to a 10. But within a minute or two, if I meditate, I'm back down to a 0. And for a Western medical practitioner, that doesn't make sense, right? They had nurses coming in and doctors coming in going, we don't understand. You're saying you're reporting no pain, but we're sitting here looking at you and saying an hour ago, you fully ruptured your Achilles tendon. And anyway, so I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about this, how I'm having this experience pain-free, how I came out of a major surgery almost 2 years ago and in post-op needed no pain meds. How when I was in medical school and I had issues, I experienced major pain and I could not retract the pain. My life while I was in medical school was very different than my life is right now. Medical school is one of the most unhealthy things you can do. Going to medical school is painful. It's hard. It required 70 plus hours sometimes of work every week. And I didn't have the time to do the diet and lifestyle I needed to manage my pain. And so I experienced pain. I experienced more pain. And when I had pain, I had a much harder time, and I needed tools. I needed acupuncture. I needed herbs at least, right? And then certainly we can go and progress on. Do we need surgeries? Do we need drugs? I did need that help because I was not doing the diet and lifestyle that was going to heal me better than anything else could heal me. But the last 2 years of my life, I have gotten totally devoted and committed to my practices, to doing my best to practice what I preach and what my teachers have taught me. And it's working. It's working really well. I have been able to survive a surgery that I really needed for a long time and need no pain meds. I've just had a major sports injury and I'm faring well. And then I think about all of my patients that I'm working with and how I want to take their pain away. I want to take your pain away. And it's possible, but it takes a lot of work. And I didn't get here overnight. It took me decades to marshal the skills to harness my energetic mechanisms, to get my mind and my breath focused and able to channel into specific parts of my body and go to work internally to heal. And it really, really, really is possible. And I sit here as living proof of that. And I have students, the house that I'm in right now and I'm talking to you from, this woman has been in chronic pain her whole life. And I won't tell you the long story, but with me being stuck in her house with her, she got stuck with her doctor during quarantine. How about that? But now we're in week number 2 of the first time in her adult life with no pain meds. And she is in less pain than she's been in her entire adult life. It's amazing. Now, we were able to get her there because she's been my student for 10 years. And she has been doing unbelievable work. This did not happen overnight. It has been a year by year incrementally getting her off of various things. Opioids ended 5 years ago, but there were still muscle relaxers until last week, right? And Advil and ibuprofen, and that's all gone now. And she's in less pain. And she's learning her practices. And the more we practice, the better she's going to be able to get in checking in and tuning in. And then there's not just physical pain. This is anxiety. This is depression. This is digestive issues. headaches, much less broken bones. Now, when we get into the things like immunological diseases and all of those symptoms, right, things get more complicated, and I don't want to oversimplify things. But I wanted to talk about the perception aspect of pain, because that is a big thing I realized yesterday, is that I had people telling me stories about what I was supposed to be feeling. I even, allowed, because people around me were seeing that I wasn't screaming, that I was calm, and that I was saying that I didn't have a lot of pain, but I was sure I just had a major injury. They're like, well, you can't have had a major injury. You're not in a lot of pain. So I even questioned it. Did I have a major injury? Shouldn't I be feeling a lot of pain? But I practice so often, my meditation practices, my cultivation practices, the class I teach on Wednesday, Yoga Nidra. I've been doing Yoga Nidra for 20 years. So I drop into that state almost automatically without thinking now when I need to. And I went there and started channeling my energy to where it needed to go, and got through everything, and get to sit here with you today and talk to you about this experience, and hope that whatever's going on in your life, that it can benefit what types of pain you're going through. So, nociception. Has anybody heard this word? Nociception? It's also nociperception. And this is a word that it has been used in pain theory for a long time. Nocere is a Latin root word that means to harm or to hurt, and it's talking about the sensory aspect of pain, the sensory nervous system's response to certain types of harmful and potentially painful stimuli. And I'm going to just read this to you. In nociception or nociperception, and I'm saying that specifically because it's perception. How are you perceiving pain? Right? You can be exposed to intense chemicals, something mechanical like getting cut or crushing or ripping your Achilles tendon off like I did yesterday. Hot and cold, you have perception stimulation. And of course, nerve cells are involved in this. A lot of other things are involved in this. They are just beginning to talk about the system that my medicine has specialized in for years. The endocannabinoid system is involved with this. But nociception triggers these different physiological and behavioral responses, and can result in a negative subjective perception of your experience. You can have different things going on in your mind or your body that will lead you to perceiving a sensation and registering it in your brain as pain. This is a theory and a strong theory based on studying animals and studying humans, and wondering why, if two of us yesterday were standing by each other and had the same exact sport injury happen, why my pain experience is different than another person's experience. So there's a lot of history about how, hang on, I don't know what just happened to my screen, how pain is perceived. And there have been a lot of different theories across time and culture on this as a very individual perception of what pain is. It can be a very malleable experience due to a ton of different factors. Stimulation, what situation you're in, what your visual perception is in the moment you're experiencing things, whether your eyes are open or whether your eyes are closed, whether you're tired or alert, whether you're hydrated or dehydrated. There's so many things that are going to affect things. And what your culture, what your culture's definition is, and how our culture manages pain will experience my individual perception of pain. And that's powerful. I kept getting told yesterday I was supposed to be in more pain than I was in. And it was a really amazing, powerful experience to hear that and listen to it and contemplate it, and then go back to practicing what I've been preaching and what I've been experiencing in my journey with pain and in working with people and in watching other really amazing people who've marshaled their abilities to connect mind and body and alter and change their perceptions and therefore their experiences. And I got to practice what I preached yesterday. So although it was a very unfortunate day in my life, I'm now going to have to rehab and be off my leg for months. And it, bummer. But I got to tell you, now I kind of get to trip out and use all the practices that I have learned and the things that I preach to my patients and students and put it to work. And it's working. It's happening. I'm going to have a really phenomenal opportunity, and I'm having all things considered, really positive experience with this injury that is supposed to be putting me in major, major pain. So when I realize that the entire world, we still do not fully understand the pathomechanisms of pain, certainly in humans, much less animals really, as we do these studies, how we do deal with pain varies. And I deal with it in a unique way. Chinese medicine deals with it in a unique way. Ayurveda and yoga deal with it in a unique way. Western medicine, pharmaceuticals deal with it in a different way. I am going to be focusing on what I think is taught the least when we deal with any pain, as the Lotus Way, through our yoga health educator and therapist training, and certainly in my practice with my patients and students, and so talking to you about it now. And it comes down to not just diet and lifestyle, but in changing the way that we perceive our experiences as positive or negative, as good or bad, as painful or not painful. And really having to be willing to change our perceptions from the inside out to be able to allow potentially a different experience to happen. So right now in this middle of this pandemic, a horrible time to hold compassion for the people struggling, to feel the universal pains that so many people are going through, and make a choice right now to the best of our abilities to work with each other and together to create a collective shift into a healing paradigm with this, and in our individual lives to figure out what practices we can be doing to alter our perceptions of the experience and to make it a less painful experience. And if I can do that post-surgery or immediately post-severe trauma, and I'm now 24 hours into a severe trauma, and I can be sitting here with you all pretty relaxed and pain-free, we can do this. We can do this on a collective level. We can do this with each of you individually with whatever you've got going on in your lives. And we can't do it overnight, because it took me years and years of practice to be able to do this. And I'm not telling you all I never feel any pain. Okay? I feel pain. I understand pain. I experience pain. Today I pushed it too hard trying to do something, and I got a Charlie horse and I felt pain. I resolved it and I tripped out while I went through it. I didn't resist it. I dropped into it. I worked with it. It was my teacher. I changed my perception of the experience. I learned from it, and now I'm grateful, because the exercise that I wanted to play with, that I thought I could do with my calf muscle, not possible without an Achilles tendon attached to my calf muscle. And I laughed my way through the Charlie horse, and I decreased the amount of time and the severity of the pain, and then moved on, and no pain. So how each of us is guided and molded by our lives' experiences with pain determines wherever each of us is sitting today, with not only what's going on in our individual lives and bodies, but how we're handling this pandemic and this collective global experience right now. So I can't think of anything more important than us having a moment to contemplate how we choose to perceive our experiences and then make decisions on our next experience. If all of us focus on doing that, whatever is going on in your life, whatever goes on that we do not have control of in the world right now, we really can have a less uncomfortable and potentially even quite lovely experience. And when I say this, I am including dying. I am including if I get sick or if I have an injury and have to end up in the hospital, which was honestly a scary thing to have to do yesterday. I'm trying to avoid hospitals right now. All of us are trying to avoid hospitals right now. But I had a positive experience. I dare say I had fun. I had a beautiful day. I was surrounded. I had loved ones. I had support. And I managed to get the meditation in I needed, to get the support I needed. And I want to encourage that. So let me tell you a little bit more about my history with pain. I'm going to give you 3 quick jumps through my life. Childhood, middle adult life, and I've been talking to you about what happened to me yesterday. So in my childhood, I had scoliosis, rheumatoid arthritis, myofibrosis, manic depression, and chronic yeast infections. I think those would maybe be my top 5 diagnoses. And so by the time I was a teenager, they wanted to put metal rods in my spine. They put me on Flexeril for the myofibrosis, and they had me on tons of NSAIDs and were suggesting other opioids for the arthritis, and lithium for the manic depression, and the antibiotic stuff for the yeast infections. So they suggested metal rods and all sorts of drugs when I was a teenager. I experimented with doing what the doctors wanted me to, but I was a teenager. I wanted to do stuff. I was so drugged out. It was like I had to make the choice. The drugs made me feel whacked out and horrible and uncomfortable, or I had to sit with my pains, sit with my discomforts. And often I chose the pain over the side effects of the drugs. Now, to make a long childhood dramatic story short, I was blessed with a few mile markers with a few people in my childhood, my dad and my sister particularly. By the time I was in my early 20s, I found a holistic chiropractor, a handful of teachers who who at least supported and encouraged my choice to not get the surgeries and to try and not use the drugs. And so life forced me at a young age to navigate pain. And I think that maybe as I look back in my life, and now I'm a practitioner and I treat people's pain every day, that set me up with one of the greatest learning opportunities the universe could have ever handed me. It was not comfortable. I cried myself to sleep and awake every day of my childhood and my early adult years. And I'm have the personality I have, so I sort of toughed it through most things. But I didn't learn skills until I got into my 20s and started meditating and doing yoga and seeing a chiropractor and really hearing people tell me I had to change my diet. And it took years, but over time, all of those symptoms went away. I still have a little curve in my spine, but I straightened my bones. I reduced all the inflammation. I have no arthritis in my body anymore. So I reversed arthritis. The candida, that was all diet. It took forever for me to get my microbiome balanced, so my candida wasn't out of balance in my body or easily thrown out of balance. All it took was a little bit of sugar and a little bit of stress, and it was there. And now that's not the case. I manage that healthy, and I can have a little bit of sweets, and I don't crave them as much. The psycho-emotional stuff, the manic depression, that was a pain. I was on a roller coaster. That went away. I'm 20 years past being on an emotional roller coaster. And I started learning in my 20s, and it took me until my 30s to really navigate those pains. Now, by the time I was in 30s, I had another major issue. I had fibroids in my uterus. They caused me a lot of pain. I, again, went to Western medicine's way of trying to treat that, whether it was on or off birth control pills and NSAIDs and all sorts of things. Then I found holistic medicines. They helped a lot, but it was lifestyle. When I was not living a lifestyle conducive to a 28-day cycle of the moon with my uterus, my body rebelled and screamed in pain. When I would honor and have a healthy lifestyle, healthy loving relationships, no abuse, take care of myself, know when my cycle was happening, do the right things the days leading into my periods, do the right things during I had beautiful experiences. But it was very, very rare that the world slowed down enough, or that I was willing to slow down enough to change the pace that my body needed to operate at to heal. And so its response was to scream at me and be in pain and say, please listen, please do something different. And we just muster through and wonder why we're still in pain. But when I did it, when I changed, it would heal. Then I went to medical school, and my menstrual issues went haywire. I was in debilitating pain all the time during menstrual, and I had 2 acupuncture sessions a week, and naturopaths and homeopaths and osteopaths and the best healers in the world. And they kept me on the road. I mean, I got through medical school. It was painful because medical school was not a conducive lifestyle for someone dealing with the chronic health issues I had. I finished school. I had a year to really get myself settled down. I had a surgery. I managed it beautifully. I have felt healthier and more pain-free than ever because I have been living. I'm finally in a couple years now of getting to practice what I preach and live how I hope I can help all of us live. And honestly, one of the blessings for some of us that can come out of this time, this pandemic, and this shutdown of the world is an opportunity, a forced opportunity to slow down. I know so many of you are experiencing that. Gardening, reading books, getting online and meditating more. We're being forced. Why did we have to wait until we get forced to do this? Why have we created a world that forces us to live in pain, to push through unnecessarily and experiencing world and in discomfort just to be productive, just to meet expectations, our own or other people's, to pay the bills? I know I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to you all, but this is the really important stuff that we have to look at, right? Why? Because, God willing, this pandemic, we're going to reduce the curve, get healthier, come out of this, build up our immune systems, develop antibodies to a virus that is now certainly out in the population with the rest of them, and go on with life. Can we, when we ramp back up and re-engage with life, take some big lessons from this time and integrate them into our lives and go and look at how we're working, how we're living, how we're eating, when we're sleeping, when we're not sleeping, and whatever issues in our lives, mental or physical, that we're dealing with, be willing to figure out and do the hard work of adjusting both our individual lives and our collective experiences, and hopefully our governments and our global experience with how we're doing life. Because at the end of the day, pain is a perception based on how we are living our lives and how we are choosing to experience it. So how beautiful is it to think that we, with practice, with commitment, with connection to our teachers and our physicians, and a willingness to really do the work, that we can not experience pain and struggle. This is a Buddhist philosophy, is that we can end suffering. We can end suffering because suffering is a mental state. It's a response that we have not mastered or fully understood how we are processing our stimulations in the world. So that's what all the practices are for that we preach. Right? I'm getting to practice what I preach right now as I sit here talking to you all. As I'm engaging with you, I am literally sending energy down my leg to keep it still and calm and steady. And I know that if that sounds weird, that sounds weird, but it's required. If I neglect that, if right now I go unconscious or decide to eat a bunch of crappy food and decide to push it, and I can use these crutches right now, right? I've got my crutches here. If I keep saying like I am because I do this, I can handle it. I can get here. I can get there. I can walk up and down those steps. I can do it. And I keep doing that. I'm going to be in pain in 3 days. But if I keep doing my meditation practices, if I eat well, if I stay calm, if I surround myself with the amazing love that I have in my life right now, I'm feeling amazing, guys. I'm going to go into a surgery positive, happy, not scared. I mean, I'm not a fan of hospitals and surgeries and drugs. You guys know this. So I'm getting ready to go and do the things that I avoid emphatically more than most people. But I can do this. I'm good. And I will recover quickly. And I will learn so much from this pain. So what I want to ask you all to do today is I would love for you to share any experiences you want to with this group about how you are learning and experiencing to process the world's pain right now, how it's affecting your individual pain, and what tools and resources are available to help you shift into a perception that whatever you're going through and experiencing right now can actually become a positive experience. Is that hard to believe? That there's some people that might even trigger. There are some people who may even think what I'm saying is inappropriate, is dangerous, or is unfair. Like, don't tell people. I'm not dismissing if you feel pain. I get it. It's a big time to feel pain. I'm just saying, can you be willing to think about what's going on in the world right now and change your perception so we can turn it into a more positive experience? Because if we can't do this in times like this, then the day we're laying on our deathbed, the day that our loved one is laying on their deathbed, the day we're in a bad accident, the day where something really hard comes into our lives that we don't have total control over, I am here to tell you that we have control over it. Because we can have a control over how we perceive the experience. And if we are willing to do the practices on the good days, every day, it will take months or years, but we will change the experience. And we can find peace, joy, even pleasure in experiences that we never would have imagined that possible. In death, in sickness and disease, in having our hearts broken. Hard to believe? Does anybody believe me? And doing this really takes time and takes teachers. I would never have gotten, I went it out on my own for a long time figuring these things out because I was forced to. My early childhood, I had so much pain. And my only options were I didn't have anybody offering me options to learn to meditate, to change my diet, to change my lifestyle. So my choices were drugs and surgery or muscle up and tough it out. It was later in my life that I got taught, and then I committed to the practices, and then I surrounded myself with other people who were committing to their practices. And then I started seeing other people have these amazing experiences. And then I started having some pretty amazing experiences in my body that was riddled with pain. And then the experiences started changing and there wasn't pain. But I still had the same broken things in my body. And right now, the person that I was telling you about earlier, that is now off of all of the pain meds, she's got tons of metal and screws and hinges in her body. She's in no pain and on no meds. She has changed her perception. She has certainly changed her diet and lifestyle, but she's practicing. She has an altar. She has teachers. She is doing her work. So I know a lot of you are doing these things. I know with a lot of you, I'm preaching to the choir. But today I am preaching to the choir. You guys are the Lotus Way choir out there. And this is such an exciting time in that it is an opportunity like, in a way, none we have been handed before in our lives, to look around, see how we might change our perceptions and our experiences and the way we do life. And so I am here to tell you I'm having my own individual experience with that right now, that I'm in a pretty amazing bubble. I'm unbelievably blessed. Can I show you guys where I am? That's the ocean right there. So I can count my blessings right now as I sit here, and I just want to share that with you, right? Doesn't that help with any type of pain that you're going through? I've been counting my blessings. It's been so amazing. And then, I got my butt handed to me yesterday. I mean, I had the worst sports injury you can pick in this time where I needed to avoid a hospital, and it was beautiful. And I want to thank the hospital, by the way, I went to. It was empty. The emergency room was totally empty. The entire wing that I was in, there was one guy with kidney stones and one kid with ironically for me, because it's another specialization of mine, he was on a high THC marijuana overdose. There was no one in there with this virus or any viruses that I'm aware of. And so I still feel just so grateful. My worst nightmare of a personal physical injury happened yesterday, and I was able to harness my practices, take no pain meds, get in and out of a hospital that was not taking a bed away from anybody else. I mean, I just could go on and on I just kept counting my blessings and seeing who I was surrounded with, and realizing I'm so blessed. I have access to amazing, clean, high frequency water and good foods, and my friends have been dropping off. Mike brought me his Inner Joy. So I have these amazing anti-inflammatory drinks and herbs, and I'm having this experience, and I have helped a person this past week who is in debilitating psychological anxiety, trauma, pain, set up her meditation space in her house, and watching her life change and find a little peace in the midst of turmoil. I want all of us to go out into our world this week and drop into our individual experiences with some intention and thought on this topic. Look at the world's collective experience right now of fear, anxiety, worry, pain, suffering, sickness, stress. Our healthcare workers and our service providers out there that are working double overtime and putting themselves at risk and having to deal with so much discomfort. And take a look this week and check in with me if you want to on if you see a way that you could invite in some practices that will help you change your perceptions, and just by doing that, reduce the pain in our lives while we experience these really intense, crazy times. It's possible, friends. I want to support all of you in being as vitally healthy as possible, and in supporting you when you are not vitally healthy, to learn how to practice to have the challenging experiences become growth opportunities, learning opportunities where we listen to the universe when it hands us an intense experience. And instead of trying to resist that experience, try and understand what the experience has to teach us. This virus that is affecting almost every human living on the planet right now is our teacher. We have so much to learn, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be in this situation collectively. And then each of us has to look at how we are experiencing this crazy time in life as individuals. How can we make changes? What do we not have control over? What we do have control over? And right now, I do not have control over the fact that my Achilles is not attached to my calf muscles. It's gone. That is real. It's happened. Sucks. I had big plans for my spring and summer of playing. They are not going to happen now. I get to have a choice of how I experience that, how I perceive that reality, both in my physical body and in my life. And I'm starting to make up new ways of thinking. I'm definitely counting all my blessings. I can still work. I'm doing all of these remote sessions to the extent of the people that I can touch. I still can do my hands-on sessions. And it's sweet. I have a friend handing me a blankie. And I want us all to think about this and all help each other, because right now, more than anything, if we can shift these experiences in our individual lives and our collective lives, then however we fare through however long and whatever this looks like with this pandemic and whatever's going on in your individual lives, I really, really believe that most of us can turn this into an exceptional learning opportunity, a time that we can grow and heal and become more healthy and more vital and navigate our diseases and our injuries and accidents and our financial struggles with a level of awareness that we can actually quite enjoy, even the weird, trippy, hard, intense parts of this. What do you think? Does it sound crazy? So I want to hear your thoughts on it. And if you think it's hard, if you think it's impossible, if you want to call me on anything, I want to hear it, because I can only talk from my personal experience, from the experience of my teachers that supported me through yesterday, from my experience of the students that I'm with that are going through miraculous shifts in their perceptions and experiences with pain. And I bet every single one of you could share a pretty phenomenal story with me of how you have been able to shift that experience. And if you're having any trouble with that, that's what I'm here for. So this is Lena.
Hi, everybody. I'm just gardening right now. Hi.
She has converted her ornamental gardens, and half of what's here are now vegetables and herbs, and it's just amazing to watch someone grow like she has. I know a bunch of you have been planting your gardens. I wish I should get online and do a live video of walking you around these amazing gardens. So let's just end with a moment of tapping into our bodies. I'm going to carefully move my foot. I can't quite ground it like I usually would. Wherever you are, let's get a little grounded. If you can get your feet on the ground, if you're sitting cross-legged, that's great. Get your spine as straight as possible. Get your head on your shoulders. That cliche comes from somewhere. You actually need to get your head back on your shoulders. And drop into your body for a minute. Let your mind drop into your body with your breath. If you have a pain in your physical body right now, I want you to direct your mind and your breath to that place in your body. If you have anxiety or stress, where are you feeling it? Is it your mind racing? Is it tight in your chest? Is it upsetting your stomach? Focus into where you feel discomfort. Keep going back to making sure your spine is straight and your head is on your shoulders and that you feel grounded. And just take your mind and your breath into the area in your body where you feel any tension. Breathe there. Can you feel the breath moving in that part of your body? As you inhale and exhale with your mind focusing, directing your breath there. Feel that part of your body respirating, expanding and contracting. And now listen to that part of your body. It is communicating with you. That thing you are experiencing as pain or discomfort is actually you, a part of you, telling you something. Listen to it. What is it saying? Does it have a temperature? Does it have some other type of sensation? If it's hot, breathe in the intention to regulate that temperature. If it's throbbing, there's a pulse to that throb. And with your breath, you can change the rate of that pulsing, throbbing pain. If it's a racing mind of thoughts that don't want to stop, you can focus on the breath. And slowly, over time, your attention will move more into your breath and your respiration than on those racing thoughts. And they will subside. If you are having a hard time with these things, that's why we call meditation a practice. If you are willing to commit yourself to these practices, this simple little exercise that you're doing right now, the practice that we do on Wednesday evenings, and any work that you wish to do with me or your other healers that have been doing many practices to treat discomfort and pain naturally with unbelievable success. Your experiences, not only will you reduce your pain, but your life experiences can change exponentially. Our collective experience of what is going on right now can change exponentially. And we can come from a clearer, calmer space with less fear and anxiety and less pain. And that is what I am here to support you doing, however I can and however you feel called. Please reach out. Please connect. Please share your journey with us. And thank you so much for letting me share a little bit of my journey with you. So I don't know when I'm having my surgery. It's going to be soon, hopefully, and everything's going to be beautiful. And I've been receiving all of your love and prayers, so thank you all so much. And I really, really, really know that a big part of why I am not experiencing more pain right now in my current injured situation is because of the amount of love I have surrounding me, the students and the teachers and the family and the friends, that I'm completely blown away every day by the quality of how I am held. And so in whatever way I can, my only possible way to return and express my gratitude for that is to love and hold you all. So I hope you will let me do that in these ways. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you on Wednesday. And if you have any questions or comments for any of us, please share them. Otherwise, please come back on Wednesday or send me a message to let me know what's going on with you and how I can hold you and support you. I love you all. Thank you all. Bless you.